And welcome back to the Morning Blend with our continuing series, Mental Health Moments with Rogers Memorial Hospital. Well, as the holidays approach, many of us look forward to sharing in the joys of the season with friends and family.
Yet it is easy for anyone, all of us, to become frazzled while attempting to squeeze in extra commitments. And here with healthier ways to handle holiday stress is McKenzie and Dr. Wetterneck, both with Rogers. Great to see you guys
here.
Thanks so much for being here. You know, it's during this season, we know all the things we have to do, but we also try to keep in mind that it's a season for happiness and to feel joy. But it's hard with all of the things that you know you need to accomplish in now a short amount of time.
Yeah, and I think that we look at the holiday season as an expectation for a lot of joy, but it's really an expectation for a lot of strong emotion based on how the holidays have been for us in the past. So for those that have had a lot of joy, that can be joyous. For those that haven't experienced as much joy, it's not as joyous. And when you factor in even those that have had lots of joy, there might be people that couldn't be with them. Maybe they're no longer with us at all, or just not able to meet with them. So even those used to joy can experience some grief or loss.
Well, yeah, and sometimes we set unrealistic expectations for how wonderful the holidays will be, and when it doesn't reach that, you kind of have this letdown feeling. You know, do you think a lot of those things, is it sort of some of that loneliness or missing loved ones that really leads and results to some more of that compounded unhappiness?
Yes, I do. I think regardless of what your mood is at or anxiety level is at, these things can all play a role. And there's many folks that they can be around a lot of people and still feel alone or be afraid of crowds and really not know how to handle those situations.
And trying to make things perfect too is I think something that we all fall into. I think a lot of people, myself included, do something all year long, but especially around the holidays, and that is putting others first before their own needs. And I like what you're about to talk about, because there are three kind of common areas that sort of trigger stress and cause problems for us. And the first is overspending.
Right. And you know, I guess the big moral will be take care of yourself in order to be able to take care of others. And overspending is something that many people are going to encounter, and then the stress of trying to find the resources and money to do that. It's best to try to think about, can I set up a budget ahead of time? And it can be a difficult conversation to have with close and extended family and friends that you're going to set a budget. So perhaps suggesting that you could say we're going to give a gift that means a lot, and then talk about the meaning when you give it, rather than we're assigning a price tag to it. Right.
Oh, that's nice. I like that too, because oftentimes when something means something, you take a little time to make it, or find alternate ways versus just, you know, the dollar attached. The next place that you say tends to get you kind of in this bind of putting others' needs ahead is overscheduling.
Right.
Not being able to say no around this time of year is tough.
Right, and then you hit the nail on the head on being able to say no and say that in a graceful way, but trying to recognize your limits. There's so many things going on with family, with work, civic activities, if you're involved in a church, and so many responsibilities that it's helpful to try to think ahead of time, what can I actually do? And when anyone asks me to do something, can I say, let me get back to you? And then be able to talk to someone you trust that also knows your limits to decide what can I actually commit to.
I do think that giving yourself that breath of, you know, let me take a minute and think about it before I give you an answer, can really give you a chance to process how you're feeling and access if this is something that fills you up or makes you feel depleted. And we often talk about saying no being a choice when you know that you won't feel filled up by saying yes.
Yeah, overindulging too is super common, I think.
Right, so this is the time of the year where we're likely to have rich, fantastic food and lots of it, and perhaps, you know, engage in some spirits as well.
Yeah, we talked about hangover myths a while ago, but this is a time of year where people get together and they tend to overindulge.
Yes, and then with how busy this time of year is, one thing we're likely to sacrifice is that self-care. So being able to you know, maybe select a smaller plate, for one thing, could be helpful.
Yeah. That's what I should do.
Yeah, or build in
But then things fall off when you pile it up so high.
That's true. Right. Maybe you'll need like a ruler to measure, and it has to be under an inch of height as well.
Yeah.
But it's not just about food. It's even about things like skipping your sleep, right? Or skipping your workouts because you're overindulging and doing things and then not taking care of yourself in return.
Right, so trying to build some time in for yourself or even for the whole event or group that you're with to say we're going to spend 15 minutes of listening to music, or I hear it's going to be a mild winter, so perhaps we could go out for a walk and enjoy some Christmas lights.
And Sue, I know this is an important topic to you because WISE and Rogers in Health works to help minimize the stigma so that people will get the resources that they need when they're overloaded or they can't handle things like holiday stress or they face mental health challenges. Yet to someone who has never seen a therapist, they probably feel reluctant to even make that call or inquire, because what does that mean if you need help?
Exactly. And all these indulgences are actually kind of what the holidays are about, and I don't think Chad and I are here to say, you know, let's all be Scrooges. I think it's more to say, to ask ourselves, why is it okay to indulge in all these other things, but to actually say, I'd like to be more gracious, I'd like to be a little less anxious, I'd like to be able to engage differently with people in my life, and maybe there's some resources that could help me to do that. That feels frivolous.
Yeah.
And yet that's really the foundation of us being able to do all these other things that make the holidays joyful.
Yeah.
So maybe it's asking ourselves, how do I get inner peace so I can experience the joy of the holidays? And you know, we know there's lots of ways to do that. I also think there's internal stigma, which is, you know, the notion that I can just tough it out, I should be able to handle this, well, this is the holidays, I should be good at it, all that internal conversation. And if I reach out and say, you know, Chad, I really like to take 15 minutes to talk about what's running through my head, what does that say about me? And you know,
We beat ourselves up for not being strong enough to handle it.
And I think you're getting to self-judgment too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we all do that, and especially before we ask for help, there's a lot of critical thinking and self-judgment, like, well, like you said, I should be stronger than this, I should be able to handle it, I did it last year, that kind of thing.
we'll share our best recipe for the latest cocktail, right?
Yeah.
So why don't we also share our recipe for peace during the holidays, for inner acceptance?
I like that message. Thanks you guys so much for being here. And Sue, thank you so much. It's been a great year to share and do these segments on mental health with you and Rogers Hospital and putting them together. We really appreciate it.
It's an important message for people.
You've done an awesome job. And you can learn more about the care offered by Rogers Memorial Hospital at rogershospital.org. You can also see stories of recovery at rogersinhealth.org. We've seen some of those stories here on the show, and that's where you can find out more. Great to see you guys, and happy holidays.
Thanks for being here.
Appreciate it.